thing I've been talking about is story. It's kind of what I do. Been going over why it's important to use story, why it's valuable to use story. I am currently working on a music video with a client, and instead of talking about story, let's talk about how to go about creating story. I have talked a little bit about cliche. It's like, I see what's coming, this is not believable. With video, you want the viewer to be immersed in the story and forget that they're looking at a screen. One of the first things that I'm doing within working on this music video that happens to have story elements is to remove the notion that we're going to get to here, this place. The story is going to end here. This is what's going to happen. When you do that, you say, okay, I'm here. I need to get here. How do I get here? You restrict yourself to an outcome that creates cliche to get there. Something may make sense in real life, but you need to get here, so you eliminate that option and do something that's a little bit more cookie cutter in order to get there. How do you avoid doing that? I read a book called Story by Robert McKee. He goes about talking about how humans work, not biology, I guess, psychology, stuff like that. Robert McKee talks about story world. To understand the world that your story is a part of. Understanding these characters on a level that you know what they would eat for breakfast, you know what they do in their free time, their backstory, where they went to school, if they went to school, their deepest, darkest secrets. You're the god of this world. You understand the ins and outs of these characters, that instead of, we're gonna get here, so let's get there, instead of doing that, you're saying, we're starting here, but I know these characters so well that I know how they're going to act. I know how they're going to respond. You know all of those ins and outs of these characters and the world that these characters live in, that you allow the story to tell itself to you. You are just the god that sets up the scenario to illuminate these characters in certain ways. So within story, you have a character that lives a life. His life is thrown out of balance. The rest of the story is him trying to regain this balance. There may be a conscious or unconscious object of desire. Either he may consciously know what he's trying to pursue to regain this balance, or maybe unconsciously he's pursuing certain things, which is called unconscious object of desire. In pursuit of this desire, in pursuit of this object that he may think will bring him balance, him or her balance, there's something called conservative action, which is something that we don't put more energy into something than is needed. So within this conservative action, we're actually doing the least amount as possible to try and gain this object of desire. And through this conservative action, the character will continue to learn new things that bring clarity on how they're going to be able to gain this balance, or maybe how they're not going to, eliminating options and highlighting the options that may bring about that object of desire. There's something called, what is it called? It's called true character. As the god of your story, you put your character in scenarios that illuminates who they really are, with maybe them not even knowing what that is. You are showing who this character really is. A bus goes off the side of the road and goes up in flames and is about to fall off a cliff. This character runs over there and the bus is about to fall off the cliff. He can only choose one. Maybe there's a girl sitting there, a young boy, the bus driver. Who is he going to choose? And maybe this illuminates his true character. It's these moments that show who this character really is. There's also something called center of good. All of us think that every decision that we make is for the greatest good, whether selfish, whether selfless. Nobody goes through analysis and makes a decision that is based on their analysis a bad decision. We all think that we are good. Even Hitler thought he was good. For somebody to go and murder somebody, there's a level of good that they believe is needed in certain situations that lead to certain results, but we're all trying to do our best, trying to gain things that we may think that we need. The audience and the viewers of this story can now look at these characters and understand their perspective in life and understand that we're all the same in a lot of ways, and creating this commonality between people that are murderers and people that are not murderers. There's a relatability. To show those things allows the viewer and the audience to relate and to create a connection with the characters. There's also something called story gap, where in pursuit of this object of desire, a character may think they know what's going to happen as a reaction to what they do in order to gain this object of desire within their conservative action. A story gap is, I think I know what's going to happen. That's why I'm going to do this to get this. Story gap is, oop, that didn't happen. Now what are you going to do? This now opens up another scenario for the character to learn more about themselves, learn more about this object of desire, how to get it. It gives more insight into for the viewer into the character, and illuminates more true character. It makes me think about how in life we continue to strive for certain things. Like, we think we might need something, so we're going to go and pursue it. When really, that's not what we want, but we have to find out that it's not what we want. We have to fail at that in order to eliminate options, in order to illuminate what we really want and what we really truly desire. And through life, we continue this filtering process that it's our own story. It's how we go about finding the things that really mean something to us. And that's exactly the same way that these characters in a story go about regaining balance in their life. All of this is not necessarily the basis for scripted story. In this case that I'm applying it for this music video that I'm working on, it happens to be scripted. But is it really scripted? Because I am going to understand the story world, understand the characters, put them in situations that allow them to illuminate who they really are in their pursuit of regaining balance in their life. That story's telling itself. This structure doesn't need to be applied only in scripted story. Even in documentary work, understanding this is how human beings operate allow you to see these things and bring them to light, to create commonality, to create relatability, believability, and to avoid cliche. Because once you start allowing cliche to creep in, people tune out. And I think that's why in my previous video, my previous article, I brought up the idea of, instead of placing a product or a service as the guide in somebody's or a customer's story, that has a very high level of, this is where we're going, so we need to go in this direction. It creates this scenario, which creates cliche. That's why I propose to to go about doing it a different way, which is finding beautifully powerful stories and telling those, and attaching your brand to pursuing something more and bigger than yourself will naturally seep out authenticity, will naturally push out cliche, will naturally accomplish a goal that other people want to accomplish too. All of that creates loyalty, but it's not loyalty that we're after. We're after purpose and meaning in our own individual lives that result in loyalty for business. It's a win-win. I want to wake people up because I was woken up to a beautiful life that I never knew existed. That's all I want to do. Why do you do what you do? For the money? It's not the money you're after. You're after what you think money is going to bring you. Figure out why you do what you do. Tell stories that highlight what you were destined to do. And allow that emotion, those lessons, those experiences that the stories tell, change other people's lives and your own. And the rest will just fall into place. Till next time.